Hello and welcome to the Love Energetics podcast. I'm your host, Maria Manifests. I'm your personal transformation coach and a manifestation teacher. This is the space where self-love meets soulmate manifestation. This podcast is all about diving into the mindset shifts, manifestation principles, and self-image work that will allow you to create your dream love life. Whether you are single, dating, or calling in your soulmate, you'll learn how to embody your lucky in love identity and become the version of you who naturally attracts the long-term relationship you desire. Get ready for powerful insights, real-life success stories, and physical strategies that will help you unlock the love you deserve. Welcome to episode 3 of the Love Energetics podcast. This is all about the healing era, which is your first step to manifesting your soulmate. Guys, I almost did not even film today because I tweaked my neck last night when I was sleeping. I literally almost fell off the bed and in a half sleepy state caught myself and then tweaked my neck. So we're gonna bear with it here though. I decided I was going to keep my plan for the day and just let myself heal. And I knew that I would feel better if I stuck to the plan and filmed my podcast today. So that is exactly what we're doing. I'm always trying to think in alignment with my higher self. What would she be doing? And as well as thinking, what would I feel better having done? And if that was rest, then great. But I knew that I had this day fully open. John was in the office and I really wanted to take advantage of the time alone in the apartment to film this for you guys. So with that, I have my little amino lean energy drink and let's get into the episode. So what I really want the premise of today's podcast to be is that before you can step into your dream relationship, you have to close the energetic loops of the past. I think a lot of people, when they leave a relationship that they're unhappy with, especially if it's a toxic one, they expect a different partner to yield different relationship outcomes versus focusing on changing themselves or doing some inner work that is going to allow them to experience a different type of relationship. If you're always putting it on the other person or something external outside of you, you are going to continue to yield the same relationship outcomes at the end of the day. And so that's why it's so important to heal before you get back into dating, before you get into a new relationship. And so I'm going to go into that at a deeper level today. The goal of this is that by going into your healing era, you are going to no longer keep attracting the same toxic dating dynamics. If that's something at play for you, you're no longer going to experience the same type of heartbreaks. You're gonna, if there's somebody that you're thinking of when you're listening to this episode that you can't really get off your mind, this will help you. This is going to help you release that person and let them go and get over them 10 times faster, I guarantee it, than if you did not learn this information. And lastly, too, we're going to go into wounds that you pick up in past relationships and how, if you don't properly heal them, they can carry through into your next relationship as well. So we're going to dive into all of that, which is really, this is going to give you a really good idea of what the first phase of my Love Energetics method is all about, the healing era. This is what I walk through with my one-on-one clients and why it's so important and why it's really a non-negotiable for going through this method before you step into any of the other dating phases, any of the other Love Energetics phases in order to manifest your soulmate. This first phase is truly a non-negotiable. So by the end of this episode, I hope that what I'm teaching you has now given you the opportunity to clear out the old, make space for the new, and give you a really good guideline of how to heal and become the version of you that is going to start effortlessly attracting the love that you desire, because we are healing what is not that, okay? We're letting that go and we're no longer letting it hold us back. All right, so let's kick off here by talking just more about why the healing era is essential. I know I just said that, but I want you to better understand why so that you're going to feel more inclined to actually take the healing era seriously, not just skim over it, not just kind of ignore a lot of the deeper work, because I feel like this is the phase that nobody wants to do. One, because their ego is telling them that they don't need it. or two, because it's just like something that you have a tendency to want to procrastinate because you don't want to deal with all the stuff that you've been suppressing, right? Or you would have already done it already. You don't want to do the deeper work because it's uncomfortable. It's like, when you have your cardio planned for the week, you kind of want to just skip it or like procrastinate it. Maybe you say you're going to move it to another day because it's more uncomfortable. At least that's how I feel. I feel like whenever I have my run planned, I know I feel so much better after I do it, but I get so caught up in wanting to push it to another day or later in the day. And I feel like dealing with your deepest wounds that you need to heal can kind of feel a little bit similar to that at times. But, at the end of the day, we can't experience massive, life-changing, positive transformation without some discomfort and without some growing pains. And so that is why the healing era is essential. When it comes to manifesting anything in life, but also with manifesting your soulmate, there's a lot of focus on intentions and like attracting in. That's what people think manifestation is, but I think a lot of people forget about the shadow work part of manifestation, because unfortunately, if you're holding on to stuff that is out of alignment with that transformed version of you, that lucky and love identity that I talk about, if you're not in alignment with that because you haven't healed the things that are keeping you from being in that, you're not going to be an energetic match. So I don't know if I explained that really that well. So let me just repeat that again. A lot of people think that manifestation is about calling in the new, not chasing, attracting, kind of more of the receiving portion of the manifestation process. And a lot of people forget about the shadow work healing portion that is totally, totally necessary in order to manifest, especially if you want to manifest from your higher self versus your ego self, which is definitely something I can get into on another day. But just so that you have a better idea of why I said that, you want to manifest your soul line partner from your higher self, because a lot of people who want to manifest their specific person, for example, a lot of people are doing it from their ego self. They probably still have some unhealed wounds where they want somebody that they can't have or somebody that's a challenge for them. So another reason why the healing era is so important is that if you don't do the proper healing work, you are probably manifesting love from a more ego-based place versus from your higher self place. And the higher self place is going to give you the most fulfilling long-term partnership that is healthy, versus an ego-based soulmate manifestation wouldn't really actually be a soulmate. It's just a person that you want based out of the wounds that you currently have. So hopefully that made sense. I know that was kind of deep and a little bit of a tangent. I wasn't planning on going that deep quite yet, but I felt like it was necessary to explain. And if you do have questions on anything that I say, please either drop them in the comments, or if you're listening to this podcast and you have questions, literally DM me on Instagram. I check my DMs. I always want to talk to you guys. I would be more than happy to answer these questions. Please do not hesitate to reach out ever if something I said didn't fully land or you're confused. The other reason that the healing era is truly essential is because so I had a really great analogy on my Operation Find Your Future Husband reel that I shared the other day. If you follow me on Instagram, I was talking about how you need to heal because every relationship that you are in that is unsuccessful, think of it like carrying a textbook, like one of those bulky textbooks that you had in high school. You are taking baggage from that relationship, and I'm just using the metaphor of a textbook, and you're putting it in your backpack of life that you're carrying around, right? You're walking around with this baggage. That's what happens when you don't heal. You are walking around with all that emotional baggage and bringing it into a new relationship. So that is another reason why you want to heal, because when you experience a past relationship and you experience some level of hurt, some level of trauma, or for whatever reason it doesn't work out, you are forming limiting beliefs about love. All of these past relationships are teaching your subconscious mind what you believe to be true about love. And so unresolved wounds are going to create emotional blocks because you are going to think that, and that is ultimately going to show up in your new relationship because your subconscious mind always wants to prove itself right, look for evidence of your belief systems. So if you believe that, for example, let's go into an example to make this easier to digest, right? So say you were in even just one relationship, someone who was unfaithful. This happened to me. One of my long-term partners from many years ago was unfaithful to me, and I brought that into my next relationship. Not the relationship with my current partner, but I brought that into my next long-term relationship because I didn't have these tools to heal. And I constantly thought that that new partner was going to be unfaithful to me as well, because I had subconsciously formed a belief that men have a tendency to cheat, that men lie, and it's really hard to find a faithful guy. And I feel like a lot of people resonate with that. That's kind of a collective belief that a lot of women feel just based on movies, parents, TV shows, you name it. Like there are so many, or you hear a story from a friend or whatever. Like I feel like that is a very common belief that we carry on. And so if you don't properly heal that limiting belief, you are going to bring that into a new relationship and think that they are going to cheat. And a lot of times that is what creates your next partner being unfaithful, because you have this massive fear that it's going to happen again, which amplifies it. And then you're looking for evidence almost because you're fueling this emotion. And so your brain is thinking, oh my God, I need to make sure they're not cheating on me. I need to make sure this doesn't happen again. And you ultimately manifest that because of that limiting belief. Another reason why the healing era is essential is because your soulmate, your soul-aligned partner, you want to be a vibrational match to them, right? But if you are unhealed, right? If say you're emotionally unavailable because you had your heart broken and you're afraid to really fully fall into deep love again, that happens all the time. If you are emotionally unavailable, you are going to attract somebody who is emotionally unavailable because you're a vibrational match to that. So because we have the energetic law of the universe, the law of attraction, which is like attracts like, you can only attract in the type of partner that is a match to what you are emitting, what frequency you're giving out. If you want to get into a healthy relationship with your soulmate, then you need to change what you don't want to experience about yourself. If you are currently vibrating at the frequency of being emotionally unavailable, you're closed off, you need to do that healing work. Otherwise, you are going to attract somebody that is closed off as well. There's so many other reasons why the healing era is essential. But the last point that I'll make on this is that you can't fully receive healthy love if you're holding on to past pain. And so at the end of the day, even if you somehow attracted a healthy relationship, a healthy partner, and I've seen this as well, that can happen. You have worthiness wounds that make your subconscious not feel safe receiving the healthy love. So ultimately, you will be the one to self-sabotage. So if you have ever met a guy that you're like, oh, this guy is so great, but for some reason, like I keep sabotaging it, right? Like you keep ignoring him, putting it off, or starting fights for no reason. You are self-sabotaging the relationship because deep down, you don't truly feel deserving of it. So that's another reason why the healing era is essential. So hopefully that convinced you to continue listening to this episode and learn more about how to embark on your healing era, because clearly it is so important, right? Hopefully that really helped you put into perspective why this phase is so important and truly foundational. And at the end of the day, if you skip the healing era, all that's going to happen is that you're going to continue attracting the same patterns. You are going to continue to seek validation from others instead of building your own internal validation and your own self-worth, which that is not a fun time, right? That is where the pedestal mentality occurs. If you don't do this work, you will have more of a tendency to look for people that are giving you validation, put people on the pedestal, which is going to actually repel them anyway. And you're ultimately, like I said before, going to self-sabotage the relationships that you're in because, for example, if you have those trust issues, if you were cheated on in the past, you're going to continue to bring those trust issues into your new relationship, which will ultimately cause fights and conflict. Or you might have abandonment wounds that you didn't heal. So you're going to have that, what's the attachment style? The avoidant, no. You're going to struggle with that anxious attachment style that people talk about, and you're not going to enjoy the relationship. You're going to self-sabotage and cause a lot of conflict because you have these abandonment wounds that are unhealed. So when you skip the healing era, you are ultimately going to magnify whatever wounds you already have and somehow self-sabotage, create conflict, and just butt heads with this person. And ultimately, in some way, shape, or form, the relationship is going to end. And it will likely end in a very similar fashion to the previous relationship you had before that. The same way that one ended. Okay, Maria, okay, I get it. I need to take my healing era seriously. Okay, fine. What do I do then? All right. I'm going to give you one of the exercises that I give to my one-on-one Love Energetics clients in their healing era. And I'm going to give you that so that you can get jump started here on your own healing. This is such a powerful method. In fact, it is the first thing I did when I had my own pendulum breaking point. The point where I decided to really go all in on figuring this out and just being done with repeating my toxic cycles once and for all. This was the first method I did, and it was so pivotal. It truly made a massive, massive difference in allowing me to heal from past relationships. I call it the emotional release letters method because this is a method through letters where you're able to experience emotional release. Okay, you're going to be releasing all of the unprocessed emotions that you've had in your past relationships, which if you don't release them, they will manifest as limiting beliefs, unhealthy pattern, and just stored trauma in the body that you're carrying around. And you're going to be releasing all of the pent-up emotions that you have from these past relationships, like anger, sadness, disappointment, those worthiness wounds, all of it. This is an opportunity to release everything that you've picked up through all of your past relationships that isn't serving you. Release it all so you can make space for more healthy beliefs, healthy emotions, healthy thoughts, higher vibrations. You're releasing all the old and you're letting in all the new. So essentially what the letter release method is that you are going to write a letter to every single person that has hurt you. And I will say when I did this, I actually did it more so with my past relationships, but you can do anybody that's hurt you if that really resonates with you. If like somebody that you weren't in a relationship with comes to mind that has really hurt you, you should absolutely include them as well. You should write a letter to every single person that comes to mind when I say who has hurt you. Okay? That could be exes, parents, friends, anybody who's really shaped your story of yourself, your self-image. And I know that could be a lot. Some people might have a lot of people that come to mind. I know this can be like a long, daunting process. So I highly recommend like carving out a night of it, or a day if you want, a morning, giving yourself I'd give yourself a couple hours at least. I would really ground myself first in a meditative state, which I like to do with breath work. That really helps me get into a meditative state, but like any type of meditative state that works for you, I highly recommend that you do that. So you just kind of quiet all the other thoughts of all these other things that are going on, things you have to do that day, and you're just kind of like more in your like conscious brain. Getting into that meditative state will allow you to get into a more relaxed brainwave state, which will help you connect more with your subconscious mind, which is what we want to do, because a lot of this pent up emotion, these limiting beliefs, all of this programming that's holding you back from your dream love life is a result of your subconscious mind. It's all stored in there, and our subconscious creates 95% of our reality. So getting into that meditative state is going to help you connect with that part of the brain more effectively. So do that. And then once you're in that meditative state, you're all prepped, you're ready to go. You could put on a little bit of 432 hertz music. That's like a healing sound frequency. I like to do something like that if I am doing like a method that's going to take me a couple hours to do. Get some good music in the background, helps me focus. Once you're all set and ready to go, you are going to write a letter to every person who has hurt you. So one at a time, right? Pour out every unspoken word, like just completely no filter this shit. Like no filter, write out every single thing you are feeling towards this person. So let out all of the anger, the sadness, the disappointment, the frustration, just anything that comes to mind that you feel and you want to express to this person, write it all down. The goal is not to send this letter, right? You're not going to send this person everything that you're saying. It's more for you than it is for them. It's really just more of a releasing method, releasing all of these emotions, releasing the grudges, just releasing it for yourself. So at the end of the letter, right? So just write it all out, right? Keep venting, vent as much as you want. And at the end of the letter, I want you to close it out with forgiveness and closure. Again, not for them. This is for you, right? I want you to say whatever fully resonates with you to get yourself to a place of forgiving them. Really giving yourself closure in no long, like if you don't speak to this person anymore, give yourself that closure. Or if you do, right? Like if it's a parent, for example, you might not. If you still have a relationship with them, like your parent or a friend, for example, give yourself the closure to kind of close off that version and all that has already transpired in the past so that you could turn over a new leaf with that person that's still in your life. So whatever closure is relevant, whether they're no longer in your life, you can kind of close the chapter of them forever, or if it's somebody that's still in your life, you can turn over a new leaf type of closure. And what I will say too with forgiveness is a good way to do this is kind of looking at it with the lens of unconditional love. What you'll want to do is just, it's hard. Trust me, it is hard. I know because I've done this. You have to get to a place of at least understanding where they came from. But if you can't understand where they came from, get yourself to a place where you could understand that they had a reason for doing what they did. And it doesn't have to mean anything about you, right? Like if somebody cheated on you and hurt you, it doesn't have to mean anything about you. In fact, it doesn't mean anything about you. Get to a place of being like, they probably have their own wounds that led them to be unfaithful. Get yourself to a place of just understanding that, you don't have to hate this person, that they have their own things that they're struggling with. They have their own reasons as to why they did what they did, and just make peace with it. That is the best thing that you can do, because when you get yourself to more of a neutral, balanced place, you're going to be able to really release all of that in the most effective way possible. So that's my tip there. Once you're done, do like a physical action to symbolize the release. So you're going to want to either burn the letters or shred the letters. Burn, if you're going to burn, do it outside, or just shred it. Like you want that symbolic release. That is my homework assignment for you listening to this episode, is to do the letters release method. And if you do it, let me know what you thought, and let me know kind of what you experienced with it. I would love to hear if it helped you and what you thought. And so by doing that process, and then, there's a lot of other things involved in the healing era. Once you start to do this work, right, going through that healing emotional release work, what that's going to bring you is one, releasing the stored pain, releasing the emotional trauma in your body. Something very interesting is that your body actually holds a lot of emotions that you don't properly feel and release. So if you suppress a negative emotion, it does get stored in your body. And I actually experienced this at an extreme level when shortly within a year after leaving the abusive relationship I was in, I actually got a lot of hip pain and had to ultimately get hip surgery. and you actually store a lot of trauma in your hips. And so because I suppressed a lot of the emotions I was feeling and I didn't do a lot of healing work, I had manifested the stored up emotion as pain in my hip. So going through this healing is going to actually help you from a health physical perspective. So that's one thing that you'll really gain from going through the healing era. Another thing that you're going to be able to do is detach from the old identity, these old limiting beliefs, these old belief systems, this old story. You can start rewriting your new love story now that you've released the old, because now you have space to bring in the new love story. So that's something else that you'll really gain from this healing era. And it's going to actually really help you strengthen your self-worth, because you took this time for yourself. You took this time to do the healing work. You're taking the time to do the inner work because you know you deserve better. So by taking this time to really do it and connecting with yourself on this deep emotional level, that's actually going to increase your self-image, your self-worth, and your confidence levels. So we absolutely love that. Great thing. And then also you're just going to feel like so much more inner peace, so much more emotional freedom, and like just this huge energetic weight lifted off your shoulders. So that's going to allow you to get all of the dust off you so that you can shine your beautiful light once we get into the later phases of the Love Energetics method, right? When you're dating, you're going to be able to be that much more radiant and magnetic because you've cleaned off all the dust, you've gotten through all the cobwebs, and you've gotten rid of all of the hoarding that you were doing, so to say, and now you can see that beautiful clean space that you're in. So that is really my spiel today on the healing era. I hope that you leave this episode having a better understanding of why it's so important to go through the healing era. You have a great exercise, a very profound transformative exercise, my letters release method, that you can do as a takeaway. Now you know what results you can expect from going through your own healing era. So at the end of the day, healing is allowing you to release the past, reclaim your power, and make space for the love that you deserve. So I encourage you to start your own healing era today. Again, write the letters, feel those emotions, and trust that on the other side of all of this discomfort, right? All of this transformative work, like give yourself the credit that if you do this work, all of this discomfort, it's all going to pay off, because on the other side of this is the love you've always dreamed of. And also, not even to mention the emotional freedom. You are going to release so much emotional baggage and just go about your day-to-day life feeling so much lighter and happier. And so that is my spiel. If you got a lot of value from this, if you got any type of value from this, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to this podcast, rate the podcast 5 stars so that I can continue sharing this message. I can continue providing you this highly valuable free content. If you think that this will help one of your friends, definitely send it to them. Word of mouth is so powerful, and the more people that I can help and make a more positive impact, that will allow me to help others continue to heal themselves, raise their vibration, and create the love life they deserve. So I would really appreciate the support. If you're watching this on YouTube as well, please subscribe to my channel. That will also help me be able to get this message spread out further as well. If you're interested, I also post other types of content on my YouTube, my Instagram, and my TikTok. And I also talk about my Love Energetics Glow Up. I'm talking a lot about my 2025 bridal glow up journey because I am getting married in 5 months, which is crazy. So yeah, follow me on any of those things if you feel called to. I would love the support. And then just lastly, if you want to, aside from doing the letters method, if you want to continue diving deeper into this work, you can download my free workbook, Becoming Lucky in Love. It is in the links page down below if you're watching this on YouTube or on my Instagram, or you can go to my website, mariamanifest.com. And there'll be more guided exercises on there so that you can keep healing and shifting and transforming into that lucky and love identity. And lastly, if you're looking for some like deep transformative work in this healing era, right? You really want to go in on this and manifest your soulmate this year. Like you are ready. You don't want to make any more excuses of yourself for yourself. You want to make any more excuses of yourself, and you are really looking to go all in on this transformative process, then I highly recommend you sign up for my Love Energetics one-on-one coaching experience. It is truly profound, deeply transformative, and it is entirely uniquely catered to you. So I really love to do the one-on-ones because everybody's past relationships, their subconscious limiting beliefs, their programming is all so different. So when you do the one-on-one with me, we go deep into your specific blocks, and that's going to allow you to transform and receive your desired love life way faster, way quicker, and will really help you make that long-lasting change so that you can experience that long-term partnership that you really deserve. So if you're feeling called, I have all of that information on my website as well for the Love Energetics coaching. You can also schedule a one-on-one session with me if you just want, a little bit of help. You don't want the full 6-month or 3-month package. I do also offer one-on-one sessions as well. If you have questions on the longer packages, those are really more in this process where I have like the healing era and things like that. Send me a DM. We can set up a time to talk further. I can answer any questions you have. That is other ways that you can work with me and dive deeper into this work. And again, I really hope that you enjoy this episode, and comment below or let me know what questions you have, and I would be more than happy to answer them. All right, happy manifesting.